why do some teams opt for Kanban instead of sprints and sprint planning? Well, actually, it's a very... There's many reasons. It's an interesting question. The most common reason, okay, is not the good one. The good reason is, as a team, they've been working inside Scrum for a while, and what they're recognizing is they can't reduce their sprint any further. Maybe they're at 2 weeks, and for organizational reasons, 1 week is not going to happen. But the volatility of their work is increasing. So actually, 2 weeks is too unpredictable. Those teams have learnt how to work in short discipline cycles. Right? They can deliver consistently in 2 weeks, but the world around them is shifting, and unfortunately, things are changing too fast for a 2 week sprint. Right? Those teams, when I come across them, are doing absolutely the right thing. They're just going, okay, things are shifting. This isn't working. Scrum's doing a fantastic job of pointing it out, because they're getting halfway through a sprint and the goal's changing, say, or the significant shifts or whatever. And it's letting them know, it's letting them feel the pain in the right place. And they have a conversation. And very often that is, okay, so we can't plan that far in advance, but we can't reduce our cycle. Okay, so we're stuck in 2 weeks. That's the shortest we can get. How do we move forward? And very often the answer is, well, let's drop sprint planning. Let's not plan for 2 weeks when we know we can't. That's a sensible thing to do. If you know that you can only plan for a week, plan for a week. Don't plan for a week and then, get the crystal ball out and do the second week. And so those teams very often do just let sprint planning go away. Maybe it becomes a smaller, more regular thing. Once a week they're sitting down and doing it, or maybe it disappears entirely. And as people become free, they plan the next item, and the product owner becomes somebody who's very, very important in ensuring that the next item in the list is always the most important one. So some working practices come out in that conversation. Okay? That's a really good thing. Okay? What we have there is a team that is maturing and adapting to the work that it's got. There's a higher volatility, so it recognizes that actually the planning is becoming a constraint on their ability to deliver. So they change it, they adapt, and I hope that they do so following data. They can see the problem, they try things out, and they end up with what we often call ScrumBan, which is this merger of Scrum and Kanban. And that's a good thing. Okay. Is it pure Scrum? No. Is it pure Kanban? No. Does it work? Yes. For those teams, it can work really, really well, and they will explore that space and continue. And actually, over time, you see them flow between Scrum, full-blown Kanban, and this middle ground of ScrumBan, okay, depending on the work. And that's really good. That's a sign of maturity. That's a team that you can do some great things with. And then there's the others. Okay. Most common in the others are the people who are really struggling. Okay. So they've just started Scrum, most likely. Okay. They're being asked to deliver a working product every 2 weeks, and it's hard. And they don't see how they could possibly get there. So it must be that the sprint's too short. So they lengthen the sprint, and they still struggle. Because you know what? It is hard. It requires not only changes to how you break the work down and flow it through the system, but how you actually work. Both within the team and within the organization itself. There needs to be fundamental shifts in how you think about your job. Okay? And these teams are very often not far enough into that journey to recognize it. So what they do is they look at it and they go, well, the problem is that we can't get stuff done in that time frame. And if we extend it, we still can't get it done. There's not enough time. So what we're going to do is we're going to move to Kanban, because that doesn't have a requisite time frame. That bounds us by the amount of work we're going to do, not the time in which we do it. And don't get me wrong, you can start teams with Kanban. However, what you need in those situations is somebody with great influence and great knowledge to help the teams understand that it's not time bound, but we're still preferring shorter times. I have seen teams go, it's too hard, we're not going to do it. And then they don't deliver anything for 8 weeks. And when you ask them, they say, well, we do Kanban, we'll keep working on it until we're done. It's like, but until you're done, we won't know whether or not it solves the problem the customer has, and the customer's problem might shift in that time frame. So what we see are teams who are moving away from Scrum, not because the environment is telling them that Scrum is no longer the right tool for the job. Very often it's Scrum telling them that you should be evolving away from Scrum. They're moving away from it because they haven't yet learned how to work within this world. Okay? And they move to Kanban because it's seen as easier. It's not. It really isn't. It's harder. Okay? Because it doesn't require that checkpoint, that ability to see every few weeks what you have done and haven't done. Okay? As I said, experienced disciples of the Kanban world will absolutely have these things and they'll get it working. Okay? But the teams who just drift away don't do it with that mindset. They don't do it with that knowledge base. They do it because it's really hard and Kanban is seen as an easier alternative. They're going to trip up because what they're going to end up doing is a very, very slow delivery. Okay? So if your team is in that state, this is really hard, we can't deliver in 2 weeks. Before you drop sprint planning and you move to a ScrumBan approach or you move to the full Kanban approach, think, is it really hard and never going to happen? Or do you just not know yet how it can happen? And if you don't know yet how, take less work in. Do a bit less work. Spend that time learning how to work in this way. Okay? And once you can deliver in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even 4 weeks, okay, keep iterating, you will improve. And then the time to move away from sprint planning and Scrum as a whole will come. The environment will shift, it will change. Your data will tell you that things are happening too fast for your team to adapt to. Great. At that point, consider it. Is a move to Kanban the right thing? Do we reduce the length of our sprints? What are our options on the table? Because we're a high-performing team, because we know how to work in this way, we've developed the skills and the tools, and we've got the technologies to support us. Now we can make an educated decision about which model is right for the work we have today. So, in short, many teams can and do shift away from Scrum to a more Kanban mode. They drop sprint planning, they create something known as ScrumBan. Okay? As a Scrum Master, we need to be comfortable with that. But we also need to be aware why they're doing it. Are they doing it because their environment has changed and actually it's a good thing? Okay? Is it supporting their ability to work? Or are they doing it because they haven't yet learned how to work in this way? In which case, help them persevere for a bit longer. It's absolutely doable. If you've got to this point in the video, I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, a like would be appreciated. If you want to hear more from me, more answers to questions that maybe you've got in the Agile world, please subscribe to the channel. And if you've got a question that you really want answered, drop it in the comments. I promise we'll get around to it. Thank you.